The basement sound. Moving into a new home is supposed to feel exciting. A fresh start, a clean slate, new walls, new memories. But what people don't think about is what those walls have already seen. Because just because it's new to you doesn't mean it's empty. Daniel and his wife had just moved in. Small suburban house, quiet neighborhood, everything perfect. Or at least, it looked perfect. The first night felt normal. Boxes everywhere, unpacked furniture, the smell of fresh paint still lingering. Daniel stayed up late, organizing, setting things in place. His wife had already gone to sleep upstairs. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Then, a sound. From below, a soft thud. Daniel stopped, looked toward the hallway. The basement door. Closed. He waited, listened. Nothing. He shook his head. Probably pipes. He went back to unpacking. Then, again. Thud. Louder this time. More deliberate. Daniel frowned. That wasn't pipes. That sounded like something moving. He walked slowly toward the basement door, each step heavier than the last. His hand reached for the handle. He hesitated, just for a second. Then opened it. The darkness below was thick, heavy, like it swallowed the light. Daniel flipped the switch. Nothing. The light didn't turn on. Great. He grabbed his phone, turned on the flashlight. The beam cut down the stairs. Dust, old wood, shadows, everything looked normal, but something felt wrong. Very wrong. He stepped down. One step, then another. The stairs creaked under his weight. Loud, too loud. The air got colder, the deeper he went. At the bottom, he stopped, looked around. Boxes, old shelves, nothing out of place. Then, a sound. Behind him, a step. On the stairs. Daniel froze, slowly turned. The stairs were empty, completely empty. No. Then, another step. But this time, it wasn't on the stairs. It was right behind him. Daniel spun around. Nothing. But the air felt different now. Heavier. Closer. Then, a whisper. Right next to his ear. "You shouldn't be here." Daniel ran, up the stairs, slamming the door behind him, his heart racing violently. He locked it. Stepped back, breathing hard. What was that? He stood there for a long moment, trying to calm down, trying to think logically. It's just a new house, he told himself that. But deep down, he knew something. That wasn't normal. That wasn't explainable. He went upstairs, got into bed, tried to sleep, but he couldn't, because every time he closed his eyes, he heard it. A faint sound. From below. Footsteps, slow, moving, back and forth, all night. What for? The next morning, Daniel told his wife. She laughed, new house noises. He nodded, pretended to agree. But he didn't believe it, because that night, it happened again, but worse. Much worse. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the basement door opened. On its own, slowly, and something came up. Daniel didn't see it, but he heard it, walking, through the house, room to room, searching and stopping right outside their bedroom. Then, a whisper. Through the door, "I know you're here." Daniel didn't move, didn't breathe, because now he understood something. They didn't move into an empty house. They moved into someone else's. Underscore. 3 days later, they found something. Behind the basement wall, a hidden space. Small, dark, and inside, there were marks, scratches, deep, desperate, covering every inch, and written over and over again in uneven lines were the same words. Still here, the locked room. Every house has one room, a room that feels different. Maybe it's colder, maybe it's quieter, maybe it just doesn't feel right. Most people ignore it. They close the door. They forget about it. But sometimes, that room doesn't want to be ignored. And sometimes, it was never meant to stay closed. Samantha had just moved in alone. New city. New job. New house. Everything was supposed to be a fresh start. The house was small, old, but clean. recently renovated. At least, that's what the listing said. The first day went fine. Unpacking, organizing, making the place feel like hers, everything felt normal. Until she noticed the door, at the end of the hallway. Plain, white, locked. Samantha frowned. She didn't remember seeing it before. Storage, maybe. She tried the handle. Locked. She checked the keys. None of them worked. Strange. Why would there be a locked room inside the house? She shrugged it off. Landlord probably forgot. She moved on, ignored it. For a while, but that night, she heard it. A sound. From inside that room. A soft tap. Samantha froze. Looked toward the hallway. The door. Closed. Still locked. She waited. Listened. Nothing. Then, again. Tap. Tap. Slow. Deliberate. Her heart started beating faster. That's not normal. She walked slowly toward the hallway, each step careful, controlled. She reached the door, stood there, listening. Silence. She placed her hand on the handle. Cold, too cold. Then a whisper. From the other side, "Don't open." Samantha jumped back, her chest tightening. "Hello?" No answer. Then, "Please." The voice sounded weak, almost human. Almost. Samantha shook her head. This isn't real. She backed away, returned to her room, locked her door, tried to ignore it, tried to sleep, but she couldn't, because the tapping didn't stop. All night. Slow. Rhythmic. Like someone was waiting. The next morning, she called the landlord. "Hey, there's a locked room." Silence. Then, "What room?" Samantha frowned. At the end of the hallway, another pause. Then, "There's no locked room in that house." Samantha's stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "I saw it." The line cut. Dead. She stared at her phone, confused, uneasy. Then, slowly, she turned, looked down the hallway. The door was still there, still closed, still locked. But something had changed. There were scratches now, around the handle, fresh, like someone had been trying to get out. Samantha stepped closer, heart pounding. "Hello?" Silence. Then, a loud bang. From inside, the door shook, violently. Samantha screamed, stumbled back. "What is that?" Then, the whisper, louder now, desperate. "Let me out." Samantha's hands shook, her instincts screaming, "Run! Leave! Get out of the house!" But something else, something stronger, held her there. Curiosity, fear, and something deeper, like the house itself, was pulling her closer. She stepped forward slowly, reached for the handle. No, she knew it was wrong. She knew it, but she couldn't stop. Her hand touched the knob, cold, ice cold. Then it turned by itself. The lock clicked, slow, loud. Final. The door creaked open, darkness inside, thick, heavy. Samantha stepped back, her breathing uneven. I didn't. Then, a shape. Inside the room, standing, watching, tall. Still, Samantha's voice broke. "Who are you?" The shape didn't move, didn't respond. Then, it stepped forward. Slow, unnatural. The light from the hallway barely touched it, but enough to see its face, or something like a face. And Samantha's blood ran cold, because it looked like her, exactly like her. But wrong. The eyes too empty, the smile too wide. "You opened it." Samantha stumbled back. "No." The thing stepped closer. "You shouldn't have done that." Samantha turned, ran, out of the hallway, toward the front door, pulled it open, burst outside, the cold air hitting her instantly. She didn't stop running, didn't look back, not until she reached the street, breathing hard, shaking. She turned slowly, looked at the house, and froze, because the window, at the end of the hallway, had someone standing in it, watching her, smiling, and it looked exactly like her. All. The house was later inspected. No locked room was found. No hidden space. No extra door. Nothing. But the new tenant reported something strange. At night, they hear tapping from the end of the hallway, and sometimes they see someone standing in the mirror, smiling but not moving. The previous owner, when you buy a house, You don't just buy walls, you don't just buy rooms, you buy everything that happened there. Every memory, every moment, every presence. And sometimes, the previous owner never really leaves. Marcus had just bought the house. Good price. Too good. But he didn't question it. Because everything looked perfect. Quiet neighborhood, clean interior, no visible problems. It felt like luck. But sometimes, cheap things come with a reason. The first few days were normal. Unpacking, settling in, making it feel like home. Marcus felt comfortable, safe, at ease, until the fourth night. That's when it started, at exactly 3:03 a.m. every night. Same time, same sound. A chair, moving, slowly, dragging across the floor. Marcus woke up, confused, half asleep, listening. The sound came from downstairs, from the kitchen. He sat up, heart beating slightly faster. Did I leave something on? He got out of bed, walked toward the stairs. The house was dark, silent, except for that sound. Drag, pause, drag. Marcus reached the bottom, looked into the kitchen, and froze. The chair was moving, by itself, slowly sliding across the floor. No one there, no explanation. Marcus's chest tightened. What? The chair stopped, mid-floor. Then, turned, slowly, facing him. Marcus stepped back, his breathing changing. This wasn't possible. Then, a voice from behind him. You moved it. Marcus spun around instantly. Nothing, just the empty living room. Then, put it back. The voice was low, old, angry. Marcus shook his head. No. Then, the chair slammed, violently, back into place. The sound echoed through the house. Loud, aggressive. Marcus ran, back upstairs. Locked his door, his heart pounding violently. That's not real. But it was. Because it happened again. The next night. And the next. Every night. 3:03 a.m. The chair moved. The voice whispered. And something was in the house with him, watching, waiting. Then, one night, he stayed awake, sat in the dark, watching the clock. 2:59, 3:00, 3:01, his breathing slow, controlled. Waiting, 3:03, the sound started. Drag, drag. Marcus stood, slowly, walked downstairs. This time, he didn't stop, didn't hesitate. He walked straight into the kitchen and saw it, sitting at the table. A man, old, still, facing away from him. Marcus's voice shook. Who are you? The man didn't turn, didn't move, just sat there. You're in my seat. Marcus felt his blood run cold. I live here now, silence. Then, no. The man slowly turned his head, and Marcus saw his face, pale, sunken. Eyes too dark, too empty. You're just staying. Marcus stepped back, fear taking over. I bought this house. The man stood. Slow, unnatural. You can't buy what isn't yours. Marcus ran, toward the door, pulled it open, stumbled outside, breathing hard. He didn't stop, didn't look back, not until morning. Marcus, the Blonet Locor. The next day, Marcus went to the city office, asked about the house. The clerk hesitated, then pulled a file. This property. She paused. The previous owner died inside. Marcus's chest tightened. How? Silence. Then, he never left his chair. Marcus felt sick. What do you mean? He was found sitting there. She looked up. Days later, Marcus didn't respond. Because he already knew that chair, that seat. It wasn't empty. It never had been. Marcus was sold again. Marcus never went back. The house was sold again. Cheap. Very cheap. And the new owner reported something strange. Every night, at exactly 3:03 a.m., they hear a chair moving. And a voice saying, "You're in my seat." Score. Score. Final end hook. Very important. And if you ever move into a new house and something feels off, leave. Because sometimes you're not the new owner. You're just the next one.